Looks like we got Nick 2 on Amulet Titan versus Russell on Asmo Food.
Yes, both lists. Titan list is pretty stock, and for those of you who are really experienced in Modern, you may have seen pretty similar lists before. No, not tons of extra spice, but this Asmo food list is pretty novel, at least to me. While the concept has existed for a long time, the execution that Russell is bringing is something that I find pretty novel and very, very cool. Whether or not it has a good matchman to Titan on the draw is a different story.
Yeah, we're about to find out.
Yep.
I'm real big on this Russell list. It runs Asmo Cookbook. You have Overchase Daredevil to make, food on the drops. It also runs Archon and Troll of Khazad-dûm for persisting. You can also play a swamp, pass, come to turn, Troll Cycle for a swamp, play it, cast Persist, or cast Asmo on turn 2.
It's very funny.
It's very good. It also has backup lines with Urge the Saga. So you can pivot into an Urge the Saga route. And then it also has Shieldred and the One Ring, which is just bananas busted.
Shieldred and the One Ring. It's such a fun combo. I mean, the thing is that Russell is attacking from a lot of different angles. And usually that's good, especially when you're playing against a lot of mid-rangier or other fair strategies. The problem here is that is not what's happening. Nick is trying to make an Amulet of Vigor, and then play some lands, and then kill you by turn 4/5. And I am not sure if Russell's clock is fast enough. I don't know if his disruption package is good enough. But I do know that there are definitely some things that Russell can do that the Titan deck is not very good against. For instance, the card Asmo is extremely good against Titan. If you can put 2 food tokens on the battlefield or set up any type of engine, the Titan will never ever live, and that's a very good place to be. It also kills every other creature in the deck, which is extremely relevant. Looking at this opener. Oh yeah. Oh, we got the nuts from Russell.
Do we? Do we have a cookbook and an Oval Daredevil?
We got a cookbook, Oval Chase Daredevil, second land Asmo. I think that's all we need.
That's
Yeah, it looks pretty good. Oh, also Russell is of course running Oakish Bowmaster because he has black in his deck. This is an excellent hand. Double cookbook right there.
Yeah, double cookbook over.
Then there's no Asmo. Oh, it's significantly worse than I originally thought. Yeah, so Russell's gonna go ahead and send that back, presumably because
he needs Asmo.
Not just needs Asmo, but just needs something in this matchup. Honestly, like if he can put a reasonable clock on him quick enough, it should be okay.
Oh,
but against
disgusting.
Nick's hand is yeah.
Amulet, Michael Sincardin's bounce lane strike.
Yeah. If Russell does not deal, if Nick's hand does have one major vulnerability though, right? And that's that there's no way to get Titan in that hand. No Talaria West, no Summoner's Pact, nothing like that. He's just looking at a relatively unfair hand with no payoff. And that can mean a lot in this matchup. Especially when you consider that Russell does have positive ways to interact with Nick's gameplay. So it looks like Nick on the play as one of the higher seeds. He's going to lead on Forest into Amulet of Vigor. Classic. And then Russell does have green in his deck. He's splashing for 1 copy of Haywire Might. So Russell's going to go ahead and lead on that Shocked Overgrown Tomb. Nick will drop return.
1 copy main.
Oh, wow. It's okay. I mean, sometimes it's just like that, you know?
We're going to Troll Cycle and then Persist Troll turn 2.
Well, I mean, Nick is just going to draw the Summoner's Pact. So sometimes it is just that easy. So we're going to go ahead and cycle the Troll. We're going to go get any black source. Or, well, not any black source, excuse me. We're going to go get any swamp. And then we're just going to pass the turn after that.
Oh, it's coming back to his turn. He did this at the end.
Yeah. I'm sorry. We're passing back to Russell, excuse me.
Yeah.
And then if Russell taps out for Persist, I think he dies. Well, Russell doesn't have much choice either, though.
No.
Yeah. Unfortunate set of circumstances, for sure.
He can block the Titan. That's not great.
Titan's going to get double pumped.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a brutal opening by Nick top decking the Summer Respect.
And the thing is, with open deck lists, Nick actually probably knows that Russell doesn't have a ton of interaction at instant speed right here. So, oh, is that an Azusa?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Kind of doing it here. Let's see how he likes to go about this turn. I mean, if he decides to play very safe, we could see him decide not to go for it. It is technically possible.
Is there any reason he didn't tap the Garden to copy last turn?
He could not. He did not have an extra mana.
An extra mana.
Yeah. So we're going to go ahead and do that. We're going to float 1 green mana, I assume. We are going to play a bounce lane. Oh, you know what? Russell actually represents Beseiju with this pass. Make 4. So we're going to be up to... Yeah, sure. He's just going to shortcut and say 5. We're going to play... Go to 9. Pact. Resolving.
I don't think Nick really cares about Beseiju.
Yeah. If he activates that Microsynth Gardens on his Amulet of Vigor, and Russell responds by fetching...
For that, yeah.
Yes.
At this point, I don't think he cares.
No.
I do what you're saying now.
Yeah. Okay. It looks like he's going to go for the slightly more certain line of go find another Titan. Russell... I thought Russell was scooping for a second. He's not. So we're going to go ahead and make 5 more mana.
And bounce to Talaria West.
Bounce Talaria West. We're going to go cycle. Go ahead and... Oh, yeah. We're good to go. We're good to go. Yep. That is... Yeah. I mean, sometimes you open broken, and there's not too much that you can do about it, especially considering how Russell's main deck looks. But when it comes to sideboards, we actually have a lot more we can do. So Russell... in sideboards has access to 2 copies of Engineered Explosives, 4 copies of Fatal Push, 2 more copies of Haywire Might, 1 copy of Nile Spellbomb, 1 copy of Pithing Needle, 1 copy of Stone of Eric, 2 copies of Turok Dreadcamper, and 2 copies of Voidmere. What do you think we're bringing into this matchup?
Well, Voidmere stops
Summoner's Pact.
Summoner's Pact. So I don't. But is it fast enough? Is the question.
I think you just have to.
Yeah. I'm not really sure. Is Engineer Explosives even fast enough either?
I think you just have to bring in every answer to those cards you can. I think we're starting with Haywire Might. So let me say that first and foremost.
Yeah, Haywire Might would have been really huge there to get rid of the Amulet.
Yeah, starting with Haywire Might. And then I think we're probably going to go ahead. It's honestly really easy to take out stuff in this matchup. So we're probably putting in 2 Haywire Mights, cutting Bone Shards, cutting Shadow Spear. We're never cutting Asmo itself because it's very good. We can also cut these 4 Orcish Bowmasters because Nick does not draw very many cards.
Yeah, they're effectively useless. Exactly.
We'll probably be putting in, again, Haywire Mights, Engineered Explosives, and then Voidmere. There's an argument for Pithing Needle. The card Urza Saga does provide a reasonable plan B. Yeah. However, I think Russell is pretty comfortable being the better deck at abusing Urza Saga, so I doubt that will happen. I think we're just bringing in those answers to Amulet, and we're going to try and send it. And then what happens when we look at Nick's deck? 1 copy of Bojuka Bong, 1 copy of Beseiju Who Endures, 2 copies of Cavern of Souls, 4 copies of Dismember, 2 Endurance, 1 Engineered Explosives, 2 Generous End, 1 Colony Garden, and 1 copy of the One Ring. What do you think we're doing here?
Honestly, maybe just Dismembers to keep Asmo off the board. I'm not really like... Is the extra ring even a necessity at this point? There's 3 main.
I think we are probably bringing in all 4 Dismember.
Yeah.
Finding cuts is honestly harder than anything else.
Agreed.
We might be able to cut this 1 Expedition map. We may want to cut one of these One Rings on the draw because that's not really the plan against what Russell's doing. And he has Russell's deck list, so he knows that Russell's going to have a reasonable amount of answers to the ring. We may be able to probably cut some lands, right? We're not too worried about, we probably don't want all 3 of these Beseijus in the main. We may not want this Crumbling Vestige because it's probably one of the more middling lands they play.
You kind of want to keep Cookbook off the field.
Okay, for sure.
Yeah, Cookbook is a large part of where Russell's engine comes from, whether it be discarding Archon or just straight up making food for Asmo to Dome Titan. The threat of Asmo double food is just pretty gross.
Okay. And then there's also the possibility of bringing a non-zero amount of Dismember at 4, but also Endurance if you can find enough cuts.
Yeah.
It's a very good card in this matchup.
Endurance is, pretty good to stop or persist on an Archon.
Exactly. It's worth noting that Generous Scent is also out of range of Asmo, and bigger than basically anything Russell can put on the battlefield that isn't named Construct Token. But I still don't think that's really what Nick wants to do. I think Nick is just going to send it back,
Yeah,
more
I think
or less.
Nick would just play Cultivator Colossus over it.
I think this is probably one of the weaknesses of Russell's deck, is that even though he's doing some very powerful things, his interaction package is very heliocentric.
He got he got rolled by the luck for sure.
All right, let's take a look. We're going to go ahead and grab 7 cards. The salmon sleeves are doing it for me. I like those. Okay. So Nick's hand this game already looks worse. Oh, it's real easy. Throw that back, yeah. Had a Slayer Stronghold, which means automatically a 6.
Don't hate Russell's hand. We got a Cookbook, a Push, an Overchase Daredevil, Engineered Explosives, Pithing Needle, Overgrown Tomb.
I think we're keeping it. I think we just have to.
No.
Oh, Russell's going to send it back. Okay, Russell values having that threat. It's also worth noting that having Engineered Explosives with your Cookbook is, like, not great.
It's not.
Yeah. You're still forced to play it. Yeah. Because of how good the Amulet of Vigor is coming out of Nick. Mulliganing away multiple copies of sideboard cards, though, is definitely...
It feels hurt. It feels harsh.
It feels tough. So both players go into a 6. I have to say, I understand that Nick's deck is a combo deck that probably wants more looks, but the thing is that you can keep so few cards with this deck and still be very explosive.
You do. You do have the explosive route because of Amulet of Vigor and a bounce land.
Russell does have more synergies, but they're just so much thinner than Nick's that we may just...
It's not the centering of the deck.
Yeah, no,
it's different pivots.
It's not supposed to be the centering of the deck, but in this matchup, it might be the centering of the deck. You know what I mean?
It could be.
It's just that without Asmo, it's just so difficult to play.
I don't hate this hand from Nick. Or not Nick, Russell, but...
He's got 2 sideboard
It's got a Haywire
cards.
Might, yeah.
Got a Haywire Might, for sure. We're going to bottom this because we don't have any discard outlet or persists. I think that makes a lot of sense. Is that Noble Chase Daredevil in the corner there?
It is. Could be good.
I mean, yeah, it definitely makes your cookbooks a lot more free.
It does.
If there was a way to discard at all in this hand, I'd be a little bit more excited about it.
I would be too, but I think, well...
Nick 2 is also keeping a 6, though. Leading on this Basic Forest. And then, we have a 1-drop.
Royal Grazer.
It's the boy. Trigger,
and we get...
Bounce. Yes, sir.
Selesnya Sanctuary.
Excellent card. And the thing is, Nick's hand here may not actually look super great just because it doesn't have a Titan and it doesn't have an Amulet, but it definitely has a copy of the Ring, and the Ring fixes a lot of those problems for Nick should he get to play it and untap with it.
There's also a notable Dismember sitting in his hand. That's going to be very relevant.
Extremely fair, especially considering that Russell is already thin on things to do.
Yep.
Should he draw the Asmo, the Dismember does make it a lot worse.
It does. There's another Overchase
second
Daredevil.
Oval Chase Daredevil.
I think we just play the land and play the... Well, we can't... I don't think we run out the Haywire Might. I don't think we want to deal with having it spot removed until we absolutely need to.
I think Russell is likely to know that his opponent has brought in a non-zero amount of Dismembers here. There is an argument for running it out just because it will prevent him from dismembering an Asmo. I just don't think it's worth it. I think Nick often enough has to expose an Amulet of Vigor before the turn he goes off to where you just want to hold that up. And hopefully you get to untap when he plays Amulet of Vigor and then just activate the Haywire Might kind of all in one turn. We're going to go ahead and land a copy of Pithing Needle. I don't think we're going to be able to get the name unless they decide to put it on stream.
Yeah, Steven, can you type the card named in chat on Pithing Needle for me?
Yeah. But there's definitely like a non-zero amount of names that it can hit. Talaria West, Slayer Stronghold, Strike My Fancy. You could also name the One Ring. However, Russell is also playing copies of that card himself, and I'm assuming that he hasn't boarded those out, although I'm not certain.
I really like Talaria West here, to be honest with you.
Getting any and all copies of Titan out of Nick's deck, including just the 9th one, is still arguable for sure. I'm not sure if it's correct. I don't play the deck, but the card itself is just so scary. Oh, drawing that
Slayer Stronghold?
Yeah, is probably not where Nick wants to be. It makes the kill a little bit harder for sure. Obviously, he can still play a Titan and follow it up with a land and feel pretty okay about it, but like...
A second Haywire Might.
Second Haywire Might incentivizes me to run out the first one.
I agree.
That being said, Russell's hand is quite literally 2 copies of Hairwire Might and 2 copies of Oval Chase Daredevil. I am not feeling super great about my position if I'm.
I mean,
Russell
a cookbook
right
is just, or an Asmo top deck here is just brutal.
Russell drawing Asmo doesn't actually do anything though, right?
Yeah, but it sets the hand up. It molds the hand.
I think the problem here is that he needs 2 cards.
Yeah, he does.
And he needs 2 hits like basically in a row. Even though these Haywire Mites are good, if Nick just plays Titan as a 6/6 anytime soon, it's gonna get really difficult really quickly. So we're gonna go ahead and we're just gonna fire this off. I don't believe Russell has any actual targets except for his own Pithing Needle. I'm not sure what that needle is on. Maybe we can.
Oh, Slayer Stronghold.
Okay, so it's on the Slayer Stronghold, which is unfortunate for Russell because he's gonna have to deal with his opponent playing and activating the ring this turn.
Yeah,
just not a great place to
be. Second Haywire Might in hand though.
You know, we were talking about how the deck doesn't draw cards. I have a feeling that the deck's about to draw a lot of cards.
Yeah.
Oh, Urza Saga
that's brutal.
Yeah. We know Nick's deck is not all hits, but the hits hit so hard. That land not really doing it here.
Yeah, Russell's not drawing the greatest. This is unfortunate for him.
For sure. I mean, that's
I'm gonna run this Haywire Might out. I'm gonna get rid of the ring now.
It just has to go.
Yeah,
it has to go.
From his standpoint, not knowing that Nick drew a Urza Saga, it's gotta go.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, even knowing Nick drew an Urza Saga, I don't think you can afford to let that ring stay on the board, right? Nick has already shown you like a lot of cards that are not Titan. Well, it's very easy for Nick to have Titan. I don't think you can afford to play as if he has Titan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah. Ooh, what a top deck.
Shieldred's gonna hit the battlefield, and that's gonna be pretty good.
We're gonna probably see this ring just stay on 1.
Yeah, for sure. Well, not for sure, but it's a very strong possibility. That Arboreal Grays are looking more relevant than ever, considering that it can block this this copy of Shieldred. Drawing a Bajuka Bog for turn is not necessarily what Nick wants to see. But this Urza Saga is probably going to be able to activate and block this Shieldred, which means it is not going to be the fastest clock in the world.
Steven, you got somebody disfocusing the camera.
Mm-hmm.
Is their feet hitting the table?
Looks like a rave.
Yeah, it does.
Having fun. Nick is doing math. Oh, the Dave's hot.
Oh,
chick. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Oh, take 4.
Oh yeah. Who cares? Who cares was dying anyways.
Yeah, that's pretty brutal.
I think it's fine. I appreciate Nick just like not waiting until this Shieldred is gonna kill him for sure, and just putting everything into play as quickly as possible. Probably gonna run out this Urza Saga here, and then we're gonna make we're gonna get a Urza Saga trigger. Next turn, I think we're probably just running out this Titan, and if Russell doesn't have an answer for it, it is extremely good against the Shieldred.
I think we just take the hit.
Yeah, for sure. I think not 100% sure actually.
Well, the Pithing Needle is on Stronghold, which does stop a lot of the damage.
For sure, but I think this Titan might actually end up blocking.
Oh, I don't think Russell's swinging is what I'm saying.
Oh, you don't think Russell's swinging?
No,
here?
I think he's going to not play into his shoulder getting off the board. With the ring at 2, every time he draws for upkeep, it's 4 damage. It's 2 for the ring.
Why?
And 2 for the draw step.
What can Nick play here that prevents Russell from swinging?
Not sure.
Yeah. I think we're just going to do that thing.
I don't think we... Oh, the Haywire
Might? Okay.
I think we get rid of Saga here. Like, now.
Yeah. It's a little bit weird, considering that Nick does have an active ring. Upkeep, we're going to go ahead and pop Saga. Yes, sir. Go ahead and gain 2 life.
Nick will go... Russell will go to 21.
Yep. And then now the Shieldred is looking more and more lethal.
Yeah, so the ring trigger is going to put him to 7. He draws the turn and goes to 5.
Yep.
It's real gross.
He's basically on 1 draw step. Now, here's the thing. If this draw step is an amulet, we're in business.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
We do have Beseiju for the Pithing Needle.
For sure. Oh, actually, you know what? If draw step is amulet, I don't think we have enough cards to do the stuff. I think this may actually end up being a turn where we activate the ring again to look for more cards, just so we don't.
Oh, we die. We do die.
Mhm.
We can't activate. We do die.
We activate. We draw 3.
Take 6.
Take 6. We're taking 2 off of.
No. Once he draws for turn,
Mhm.
this is his upkeep still. This puts him to 7. He
Mhm.
draws a card and goes to 5. If he was to attempt to
you're
draw
right.
3, he'd be dead.
No, you're absolutely right. Yeah.
So now he's at 4. Why is it 4 not 5? There we go. 5.
Oh, let's go.
I mean, Dismember.
Dismember.
You go to 1.
I mean, going to 1 is probably not good enough here, right? Bajuka Bog. No way to untap it. Yeah, no, I think Russell has navigated this matchup pretty well, and he figured out a way to get out of it. Target your dude.
So Nick's gonna go to 1.
Okay.
We're gonna see if he
probably
can
gonna activate this 1 ring.
Yeah, to try to end the game.
Yeah, see if we can find something, or maybe find an answer for our own ring. You know, definitely a non-zero possibility here. Okay, got a Dryad. None of those cards look like they really answer your own ring, unfortunately.
No.
Let's see. Nick's trying to do the math and figure out if he can find something here. But
He'll scoop
looks
it up.
like we're
Russell
gonna
got
pack
game
it in.
2. That
Russell
was
got game 2. No, that was extremely impressive.
Shieldred.
Yeah, for sure. Curving out into it definitely made the game look a lot easier. And I think that was actually in his opener. I think we might have mistaken that card for Oval Chase Daredevil.
Looking at it, it didn't look like it. It looked like he drew it.
Mm.
I think he drew it the turn he played.
Okay.
'Cause I was watching him shuffle his cards and I wasn't seeing it.
Okay.
So Nick did bring in Bajuka Bog. Interesting.
Yes.
He brought in, well, I mean, he already has some form of Boseiju main board, right? Yeah,
Mhm.
3. So we don't know if he brought that in. We did see Dismembers. I think that was it.
I think Dismember makes a lot of sense. And out of Russell, we did see basically half his sideboard, right?
Haywire Mites, pushes, engineered explosives.
Yeah, we know he's also bringing in those pushes because even though it's hard for them to tag some of those creatures in Nick's deck, it's still better than having no answers whatsoever, right?
Yeah, fetch, fatal push, a Dryad or an Azusa is huge.
Yeah, absolutely.
Responding to the amulet triggers for the first drop with them and getting them off the battlefield sometimes just slows Nick enough that he just can't complete Titan.
For sure. It also leads to weird situations where like Nick is weirdly pressured to not do certain things with his 3-mana creatures in play, because if you Summoner's Pact or anything like that, and you get your thing pushed before you can make your actual land drops, you can die
To your
in
own
situations
pact.
where you feel kind of priced in.
Yeah, your own pack trigger.
Definitely some weird things that can happen with the fatal pushes in the deck, and I do think they should probably be in. So we saw some cards in Russell's deck. I don't know if he has Orcish Bowmasters anymore. I don't know even if he has Orcish Bowmasters, knowing Nick is on the ring. I don't even know if he still wants those in his deck. Like, I would still support him probably not having them.
Yeah, Shieldred was just so brutal there.
Shieldred's very good. Shieldred is a little bit better of a clock than Orcish Bowmasters, in my opinion. There could be a non-zero amount in Russell's deck, but looking at how many cards he has put in, it's hard for me to assume that he has a bunch of those left over.
Right.
Hmm?
Nick is going to be on the play, which is one of the scariest things sitting across from Titan.
Love it.
If they go land, Amulet of Vigor, go, it's just pretty
die.
Yeah, you just die.
You die real quick.
Or like Forest of Boreal Grazer, play a second land, play a Vigor, Amulet of Vigor, go. It's also really scary.
Yeah, that'll do it.
Russell's hand is very interesting. We see Cookbook, Thoughtseize, Archon, Void Mirror.
No black source.
Yeah, but he does have the Saga with the Cookbook.
You can't keep that, man.
We'll see.
Can't
What
keep that.
Yeah,
you can't keep that.
Oh, it's so rough for his luck.
It looks like they're both mulliganing, going to 6 again.
Man, Russell's hand luck has been brutal.
For sure.
Thoughtseize on the draw though does lose some value.
No, absolutely.
But Void Mirror is very important.
Void Mirror is extremely important in this match.
Yeah, stopping Summoner's Pact is pretty good.
Bringing your opponent from 4.
I mean, but if you just have it, you have it, right? Like Nick did game 1.
Mhm.
I mean, sometimes you can't just stop your opponent from having it.
Yeah, for sure. Absolutely.
Looks like there's some commentary between the two, talking about the Mulligan.
Yeah, probably. I mean, the thing is, that's one of the cool things about open decklist tournaments, is that you can be like, that's one of the cool things about open decklist tournaments and being at a local tournament, even if it's relatively large, is that like a lot of the guys in SoCal know each other. we all like each other for the most part, so we can talk pretty openly, especially when we have each other's deck list in front of us already, about like, hey, like what was going on with your hand, what was going on with my hand, so on and so forth, especially if they're already back in our decks, right? And it's a really good way to gain like a lot of information. Even if you do lose, you end up learning how to play the matchup maybe a little bit better, or you just have an idea of like the way that each person's mindset is in the matchup, or like what it means to actually like keep a 7 versus a 6 in this matchup, which can be pretty important, especially considering how volatile Nick's deck can be.
Russell's hand's pretty sweet here. We got Troll Cycling, we got Fatal Push, we got Void Mirror, we got an onboard Haywire Might. He puts back the Swamp because he's going to Troll Cycle for another Swamp.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, it's pretty sweet. You could just, like, run this Haywire Might out and then have a Void Mirror on turn 2, or the Haywire Might up for exile.
Mm-hmm.
Or you could just, like, play the Swamp and pass. I guess it's really going to depend on what Nick plays first.
For sure. Nick going to 5 here is a little bit tough. Once we get to those 5-card hands with Titan, things are getting a lot more dicey. It's worth noting Russell doesn't have any of the super proactive disruptive pieces, namely those Thought Seizes or a copy of Engineered Explosives for one, but Nick is definitely going to be a little bit pressed in this game for material, and he's probably going to have to keep a loose hand that has one half of the things he needs and maybe not the other. That being said, if there's one thing Titan does extremely well, it is play ridiculously with like 3 to 5 cards.
I mean, Nick could also just lean into an Urza Saga hand, but at the same time, Russell does have that Haywire Might.
Yeah, for sure. So it looks like this is going to be a keep from Nick. We're going to throw 2 lands to the bottom.
I don't like this.
It's so hard to go to 4 in this deck. And the One Ring is just such a good card, and it can dig you out of so many negative situations. Nick's almost guaranteed to hit it on 4, just because, yeah, he has the bounce land and another land, so he'll be able to play it on turn 4. It's just going to be unfortunate in the Haywire Might.
So it looks like Russell top decked a Swamp.
Mm-hmm.
It's also interesting that Russell did not shock that into Troll Cycle.
For sure. It's possible he has a plan for the Troll, or he just has enough lands to where he's not really worried about it. I mean, drawing the 4th land makes it to where, like, there's a non-zero chance we're hard casting this thing, right?
Yeah.
Looks like we're going to run out this Void Mirror.
Yeah.
And this
That's going to eat a Beseiju next turn, probably.
Yeah, might have to. Nick may want to try and get this ring out first before we say all that. Oh, but we just natty drew a Titan, and that feels pretty good. Let's see.
Urza Saga.
Yeah. That's definitely making me think that this troll is going to stay in the hand, and we're just going to make it on 6. Sometimes it's just a 6/5 with some text.
Oh, Beseiju
In response to
Urza
trigger,
Saga.
yeah.
Interesting.
Okay.
I think we should get a
Yeah, get an Overgrown too. No
or
big deal.
yeah. Either that or an untapped Swamp to leave mana up for Fatal Push, but I guess he's not.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, the thing is, these Fatal Pushes are a lot less effective right now because he doesn't have a way to lose a permanent. Which means that a lot of the 3-drops that Nick can play are going to be pretty live.
Yeah, I think we're next season play a land and play a ring.
Probably just playing the ring.
That's the Cultivator Colossus.
Trigger. Make a ring.
Yep. There's the ring.
Draw a card. Maybe. Yes, sir. Okay, so it looks like Nick may be on his way to cast Natty Titan in the same way that Russell's on his way to cast a
Yeah, we
Natty
got
Troll.
4 mana from Nick.
Asmo's looking pretty good here, though, and that Troll's going to enable it hitting the battlefield.
Do we have Asmo, or is that
Yes.
a cookbook?
I think we drew an Asmo. Not 100% sure. Let's see. So, gonna run out this Haywire Might, which makes me think Asmo, not necessarily here.
That looks like a cookbook.
Yeah, it looks like a cookbook. I think you're right. So, enters tap because we're casting cookbook. Absolutely a cookbook. And then this cookbook actually turns on this Fatal Push until the end of time.
It does.
Yeah. Which is very important. And let's see, what's Nick really looking for here? I think we're just trying to draw.
Nick is just trying to get lands that don't cause disruption to himself.
Yeah, for sure. This Dryad is like a non-zero creature here.
Yeah, it's not great.
It's not great.
It's definitely not great.
I think we're still putting it on board though. Yeah, there we got a Dryad. Another bounce land would be really good here, but I just don't think we
So
have any.
it's to know that the Fatal Push will not trigger off the cookbook. It's got to leave from the battlefield for Revolt.
Yes, but it does trigger off the food you sacrifice from the cookbook. Yes.
Correct.
Which is why that Fatal Push is now kind of live. Not this turn, but in the upcoming turns
Yeah.
can definitely happen.
So we're gonna untap. What are we drawing? Another castle.
Another
That's
castle.
unfortunate.
I mean, he's curving into troll now, right?
Yeah.
Oh, we're discarding. Okay. Discarding swamp to make a food.
I think you're discarding the castle. No, because he already has one in play.
YOLO. He's gonna crack the food, and then he's just gonna go ahead and play this Fatal Push.
Yep.
Yep. It's also worth noting the food is gonna make it a little bit harder for Nick to win the game. Titan does like its opponents to be within a specific range in order to make them killable. And usually the number they're looking for is 16 to 18. But Nick here is just going to kind of be floundering for a couple turns. Luckily, Russell doesn't actually have any pressure for him. That bounce land right here is fairly critical, though, because not only does it represent the 6th mana for Titan, but it represents the 7th mana for Cultivator Colossus. This Titan finding 2 bounce lands allows Nick to untap after playing Titan, and then play a Cultivator Colossus, drawing a billion cards and making a billion things. It's also worth noting that cookbook that Russell just drew for the turn is not extremely effective. However, he does have Castle Lockways to try and get some more material. Both these players are just struggling to find their respective win conditions, right? Russell struggling because he probably needs a non-zero amount of copies of Urza Saga or Asmo, and then Nick struggling because he's drawn a lot of lands. And I think we're looking at yet another cookbook for Russell, which is almost cruel because cookbook is a huge engine for his deck, but it's just not good enough here. Running out a second one, and just passing back to Nick with Titan mana in play, just an unfortunate spot. We're going to go ahead and run this guy out. Yes, sir. So that's your boy Primetime. Primeval Titan, 6 mana green creature, 6/6, trample. When it enters the battlefield, you can search your library for any 2 lands and put them into play tapped. Then shuffle your library. Usually, we are trying to combo this card with cards such as Amulet of Vigor or Valakut. In this particular case, Nick is probably just going to look for a non-zero amount of value to see if he can get his opponent dead quicker. This Urza Saga looks really solid here, and it looks like he's considering it. There's also a Slayer Stronghold in his hand that he's kind of shuffling around. Let's see. And he's pulled another Urza Saga, so he may go double Urza Saga, which would be really fun. Also, a Mycosynth Gardens here. And I think those are the biggest options. There's also like a non-zero chance he gets a bounce land, just so he can guarantee that Cultivator Colossus. It looks like that's what he wants to do. It looks like he's going to go ahead and lock in that Cultivator Colossus for next turn. He's going to go ahead and choose a land to bounce back with his Selesnya Sanctuary. And he's going to try and more or less go off next turn. And it should be pretty cool to watch. The fact is, Nick has what is essentially 8 mana on board, which makes these Cultivator Colossus real threats, because that Crumbling Vestige entering the battlefield off the Cultivator Colossus trigger is going to make enough mana to be able to activate the Slayer Stronghold targeting the Cultivator Colossus, which is then going to get in for 10 to 12 damage, depending on what Russell does here. Another Fatal Push is just not helpful. So, I don't know. Russell seems to be struggling to find a way to win, and Nick has the thing on board that fuels his entire deck.
What are we getting off the Titan trigger, though?
We got Selesnya Sanctuary and a copy of Slayer Stronghold.
No, I mean, if we swing, what are we getting?
Oh, if we swing, I think we're just getting bounce lands, probably. We also may get bounce land Beseiju to try and blow up this Void Mirror, because at that point, it may actually be a problem. Russell's going to go ahead and activate this. Ooh, Thoughtseize is such a hit here, actually. If he decides to cast it, it is going to take this Cultivator Colossus out of Nick's hand. And Nick is then going to be swinging basically naked with that 6/6. So we're going to go ahead and show, yep, Cultivator Colossus, as well as Summoner's Pact. Presumably, he's going to take a copy of Cultivator Colossus here. And 6 is a lot less than the, 14 to 20 that he was going to present next turn instead. So, Russell is tanking for quite a bit on this decision.
I think he's just trying to make sure that if he takes Cultivator, there's nothing in it that's just going to bite him.
For sure, that's fair. It's hard for this for the Summoner's Pack to be super relevant this turn, but it's very likely that in the upcoming couple turns it is, because, again, this Titan is essentially a Demonic Tutor twice for Nick's deck, and assuming that he kept in a non-zero amount of Boseiju, it can search up a Boseiju very easily and start blowing up that Void Mirror and kind of get to work on Russell's game plan overall.
I think this game is in a far south for both players, or for Russell, unless he draws Asmo.
That Amulet of Vigor actually opens up a few lines for Nick here, though.
Yeah.
It's going to make that Titan significantly harder to deal with, because he's going to be able to pump it, should he choose to, on attacks with that one card, Sundhome, I believe is what it's called, or something. I don't play this deck, I don't know. So we're gonna
Sunhome, Fortress of the Legion.
Yes, which is a land that says for 2, a red and a white, activate it. Give target creature double strike until the end of turn. We're gonna go ahead and make a blue mana. Transmute. Okay.
Here comes Boseiju.
Yep. Gonna go get a Boseiju. Well, I actually don't know this ruling off the top of my head. But this can search for Boseiju, correct?
Correct.
Okay, sweet.
0 drop.
Perfect. So this Boseiju is going to go ahead and tag this Void Mirror. And then I assume we are going to be casting a Summoner's Pact, going to search for a Titan, and then doing some degen stuff. Am I right?
Yeah, it's gonna line up pretty gross for Nick.
Okay. Let's see. Boseiju floating white, I believe.
I think he just used all the floating mana now that he's explaining it. He had
Okay.
one floating from the Telerios.
Mm-hmm.
Is that? Okay, now, yeah.
And then Russell should still have lands to get, but how relevant they are is another question altogether. Summoner's Pact. And at this point, he's probably going to flip most of his deck face up. I think this is potentially actually going to grab a Dryad here, considering I don't believe he actually has the mana to play a Titan right now.
He does not have the mana to play a Titan, but he does have the mana to play Dryad.
Yeah.
He has Forest, Slayer, Stronghold, and Gruul Turf. He could use the Gruul Turf and the floating mana.
Mm-hmm. So
and be just fine.
Gruul Turf plus activating Forest for white because the Dryad means the Dryad actually has haste as well.
Do we need that, though? I don't think we need it.
It's an extra couple points of damage. I wouldn't be surprised if it happens. And I think he's trying to push as much as possible right now. So using floating mana and that. Oh, okay. So
Nick, does Russell still have Fatal Push in hand?
let's see.
Because
He
because he had to permanently leave the battlefield with the Void Mirror.
He does have
So that is a Fatal Push to Dryad play.
Yeah. And it looks like he had to use his mana for the Slayer Stronghold anyways. So we're going to go ahead and attack. We're going to get a couple of triggers. And this might be Valakut, in which case he is going to kind of toss a few damage. But it probably won't be too relevant considering the way this game is going.
We're gonna decent with the Dryad.
Ooh, Valakut plus Mountain, or Valakut plus Vesuva is a little bit all in here. I don't know if Nick is playing around this Fatal Push. I don't even know if it's correct to play around this Fatal Push, to be fair. But I do know that he is going to get this Valakut blanked. Let's see. So he's looking at Valakut into Laria West, which is pretty interesting.
I think
he's just going to look for it. Okay, I like this a lot. So
he's covering his bases if he gets Fatal Push.
Mm-hmm. Which, I mean, again, this goes to show, like...
a lot of reps in this deck.
Clearly. To play against a matchup like this, which, again, we're all locals, we all know each other. Like, this Asmo food deck is not popular in this area, right?
No, it's not.
I'm not saying it's not good, but it's not super popular. And, like, it's very impressive that Nick is able to play around a lot of these cards with potentially not even having seen the deck before. So we're going to go ahead. We're going to make some stuff. Okay. We're going to be able to get one more turn out of Russell. Russell draws a Thoughtseize. He knows the only card in Nick's hand is a copy of Talaria West. I think this one looks really, really tough.
Yeah. There's also Slayer Stronghold on the field.
Yep. Which means that the Chalaria West can transmute, go find a copy of Titan. That Titan will probably be hasted up unless Russell finds an answer that I haven't seen in his deck.
He has Castle to draw a card. And he can, I mean, Troll Cycle play a land. Okay, well, he's just hardcasting.
Make Troll.
Yeah, make Troll.
It's a 6/6.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Make Troll.
Getting there. Getting there.
All right, that's...
Nick rubbing his hands together because we are eating today.
Yeah, that is definitely game.
Yeah. Considering this Titan probably has double strike coming in, he's just deciding how to pay for this pact right now.
Probably, yeah.
Yeah. Gonna be a little tough. Definitely gonna be a little tough. 1, 2, 3. Oh. Oh. All
I
right.
think he's also trying to figure out how he can play the Titan if he pays.
Okay. 1, 2, 3, 4. All right. That looks like 4 to me. Look like 4 to you?
Yeah.
Okay, sweet.
Yeah, Grillturf Forest plus Crumbling Spire.
All right. Let's draw a card.
Or Crumbling Vestige.
Okay, so we're going to go ahead and float a green. Transmuting to Laria West. Oh, I think now we're probably going for the Dryad line, actually.
Oh, yeah, I just pointed at the troll.
Yep.
As an attack trigger.
Trigger.
Yeah, that's probably what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
We'll see if he grabs it. Yep.
Dryad.
Yeah, this game is a wrap. He's gonna attack trigger, go get Valakut's, trigger the Valakut's at the troll, and then face.
Yep, absolutely. Let's see. Could get... Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's probably... We're probably getting to about it territory.
Yep, here we go.
All right, now completely tapped out. We're going to go ahead and grab this Vesuva and this Valakut.
Yep.
We're going to deal...
12?
12?
Yeah, 2.
Yeah, it seems
yeah.
pretty good.
six per card and it sees itself. So.
Yeah, for sure. Yeesh. Oh, untap. Gotta untap him, right? Oh, gotta untap him to give the Titan +2/+0.
I'm trolling. I'm trolling. And then there is the...
+2/+0.
And double strike, right?
No, not double strike, just +2/+0 haste and vigilance. Which is enough. For the record.
No, Russell has 11. +2 is only 8, right? Because he pointed the Valakut's... He had to point the... Oh, no.
To him, to face. Yeah,
to him, to face. So that is...
I mean, the 2 doesn't matter. Like, it's 6 regardless, but...
Yeah.
Oh, he chose to copy Selesnya Sanctuary? Is that right? Oh, okay. I can't tell what's happening right now.
I can't tell what's happening either.
All right.
Okay, it's game.
All right. Yep. Good games.
Looks like Nick on Amulet Titan took it for the first round of top 8s.
Absolutely.
Tough beats by Russell and his draws.
Nah, for sure. It's one of those ones where, like, Nick is definitely a more linear deck with a more focused game plan, but Russell has tools to stop him, as we saw in game 2. Sometimes it just doesn't work out.
Yeah, he needed Asmo pretty bad most of that.
Yeah, for sure. Oh yeah, drawing Asmo in any of those 3 games.
Would have been crazy. We'll catch you guys for the this is the top 8. We'll see you for the semis.
Semifinals. Yes, sir.